It was designed by Dr. Sokolov, and it had a very odd kind of shaped body. The front part of the head was it was manned. It had treads on the front, on the left and the right, but these weren't normal ones. These were like screw propulsion kind of thingy kind of stuff, and the legs were hydraulic, so it was able to go over most of the terrain anyway. But at the rear of it, it was a very early mod. It was a very early style of a hovercraft, but big, and it also had two rocket boosters either side, so it was able to shoot its ballistic nuclear missile at such a speed that it would prove very impossible for anyone to stop it. And the speed that this thing was able to go up to was 300 miles an hour. This is with the rocket's propulsion boost thing going. So it was the very first surface-to-air missile to kind of be used. Had loads of other defensive stuff and everything else. This next Metal Gear is called the Intercontinental Ballistic Metal Gear. I really don't know much about this Metal Gear, but it did have another name called Metal Gear Raxa. I think that's how you call it. It was in Metal Gear Portable Ops. It was the first built prototype. Its designs were complete by Dr. Sokolov again. It's based on Groening's original blueprints, who designed the very early Metal Gear Rex. This Metal Gear design is a quadruped, and its nuclear function is to act as a mobile launcher device for MIRVs. While therefore capable of making nuclear strikes against several targets at once, its range was very limited, unlike the Shagohod previously, unable to compensate for it with speed. Thus, it must be physically transported to a point within range of its target. So that's how this Metal Gear probably got destroyed, because it's being very limited on movement and stuff. You had Gecko. Gecko isn't really a Metal Gear. This is like a mini Metal Gear, and it was used very much by the PMCs and the guns of the Patriots. So every PMC unit had these things, and there were many variants of it. Some were basic, and some were very complex. They all had the ability to jump great distances, carry even smaller little geckos, which are called dwarf geckos, and they also had a unit of Suicide Gecko. Metal Gear Mark II and Metal Gear Mark III were both designed by Hal Emmerich in Metal Gear Solid 4. This little Metal Gear isn't a weapon, it's more like a intel gathering device that Snake used on his missions to spy on soldiers' movements and also stun them. Unfortunately, Metal Gear Mark II was destroyed by Vamp at a certain point in the game, but it was later replaced with the Mark III. The design was very similar, but the colour of it was orange instead of black. D-Walker will be another Metal Gear in Metal Gear Solid 5, and it will share the same bipedal movement as all previous Metal Gears besides the Shagohod and the Metal Gear Raxa, and it has a lot of customizable options from what we've seen from trailers and everything else, and it has wheels on its legs to make it go faster. Peace Walker is a failed deadly nuclear weapon that was an AI weapon, and is what the CIA was using. It came along with three other Metal Gear AIs. There was the Pupa, the Chrysalis, the Cocoon, and the Basilisk. The Basilisk was the Peace Walker weapon. Was the Peace Walker nuclear weapon. It shares some similarities with the Shagohod, considering it needed to actually house a nuke next to it, and they are all very different to each. They're all very different from each other. The Pupa is very similar to the Shagohod, except this time it actually does have caterpillar tracks on the front instead of the screw ones. It was much more faster and agile, and it also used electrical shocks to neutralize its enemies. The Chrysalis was like is an unmanned aerial helicopter. It had similar abilities to a hummingbird, and it could fire a railgun rounds which weren't nuclear, and it had a radome to spot enemies. It also was capable of launching little capture drones to capture enemy soldiers and take them away to a base nearby. The Cocoon was a giant land battleship, so that's pretty much it, really. And the Basilisk was technically like the main Metal Gear in itself. In its first form, it could walk on 2 legs, but then when it goes to the next stage of wanting to fire its nuke, it goes to a quadrupedic stance and has all its defense systems activated should anyone try to stop it via shooting it. The Metal Gear in itself was able to withstand the fallout nuclear war. Metal Gear Zeke is Big Boss's first Metal Gear that he had for the Militaires Sans Frontières, or MSF. This Metal Gear was used to be like the main defense should the base be ever under attack, or it was used to send on missions. This Metal Gear was made by the broken parts and scrap metal of the previous AI weapons that I talked about. It was very customizable in its heads and in the leg. It also housed a lot of AI board chips that it got from the previous AI weapons, and it was very agile, and it was used against Snake, Big Boss, during the Peace Walker incident by Paz Ortega, or Pacifica Ocean by whatever her name is. The last Metal Gear that we met or saw was Metal Gear Excelsius. This was used in Metal Gear Rising, and it was like it was a spider-like Metal Gear, but it was very limited of movement, and it didn't have the capacity to fire any nukes. It did have like a unit of Gecko that would jump out. I don't really know where it would be housed, but we're going to guess that they were housed at the back of the Metal Gear. And yeah, that's it. And this is the new Metal Gear, which is the ST-44, and I'm not even going to bother to pronounce the name, but that's what the new Metal Gear is called from the Phantom Pain. I don't have any photos of it, but it was in a recent trailer, and it shares some similarities to Rex. So I hope you have enjoyed this video, and tomorrow we'll be able to see Metal Gear Phantom Pain. Hope you guys enjoyed.